How to purchase an existing business without collateral, no hard credit checks, and even bad credit approvals, and so much more. Hi, this is Michael from Viral Funding Solutions, and I'm going to show you the 5+ legitimate ways you can go about purchasing an existing business. One of these, which you might have not been too familiar with, you were like, what? How is that possible? And I'm going to give you that and a lot more when you stick with me until the very end of this video. But if this is the first time you're watching me, I do come out with content like this on this channel on all small business loans, building business credit the right way, and taking advantage of different opportunities online. So today, what I would like you to do first is please subscribe if you have not already, and click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future videos I come out with. Let's get right into this. So we're looking at the GoKapital program, and this is what it's going to revolve all around. Through this program here, you can get access to multiple ways of purchasing that existing business you'd like. Listen, I've spoken to so many business owners, and I'm doing that right now. I have so many people who are like, I want to purchase this business. What can I do to go about it? And there are so many questions that rise up. And some people don't have an existing business. Some people do. And there are limitations to that. If you don't have an existing business, it can be a lot harder, to be honest with you. I'll try to leave some content for that down below in the description, but you are very limited, and it's almost unlikely to be able to purchase an existing business without going a whole different route outside of this. So I'll try to leave some of that information down below. It could change over time, but for those of you who have an existing business in operation or multiple ones, and you're like, well, I want to acquire another one. What do I have to do? What are the programs available? What are the numbers? If you would like to learn all about that and more on top of this video, then you can fill out this quick questionnaire that I'll leave for you down below in the description if you have not already, where you will get a personalized and customized response from myself on your best funding option and options, very thoroughly broken down into qualifications, how they work, numbers, and so forth, and a conclusion with bonus tips and stuff that I would recommend you do based upon what you've provided to me. So you can fill this out. It'll be down below in the description if you have not already, and it'll show you a little bit there. But it is very safe and secure. It's not an application. So there are multiple services you can go through. You have things like the SBA 7A, which I'll be covering here. You have revenue-based loans and merchant cash advances. You have business lines of credit is another solution. Another one on top of that, you even have commercial mortgage property. You're like, what? You even have a personal loan. Yeah, that is right. So I'm going to cover some of these here, so make sure you stick with me. And I'm going to go right now into the revenue-based loans. Or actually, I'm going to start off with the SBA 7A on this one. So the SBA 7A, if you're not familiar with that, it's an alternative to if you couldn't get the EIDL loan, or you're looking for a different SBA loan to help you purchase an existing business. This is the way to go. With the 7A loan, you can get up to $5 million, and there are different types: SBA Express, SBA Standard, SBA 7A Small Business Loans, and those usually have different amounts, different amount you can get guaranteed up to, what you would need to provide, and so forth. But here we go. Flexible repayments from 3 to 25 years, lowest rates from 5 to 9%, and eligibility requirements, what you would need to go through to get an existing business through them. I'll cover that a little bit more as we move forward too. Signed GoKapital loan application, completed personal financial statement, 12 months of business bank statements, 2 years of business tax returns. On top of that, 2 years of personal tax returns, a year-to-date financial statements, profit and loss statement, a balance sheet, copy of your recent credit report. So that's what you can expect to go through with the SBA 7A if you want to purchase an existing business. And the amounts here, more specifically, we can get you between $250,000 to $5 million with term lengths of 5 to 25 years. The other one on top of the 3 to 25 is because it's part of also the, there's another one in that page for the SBA 504. But 5 to 25 years. And I guess, again, it depends on the SBA 7A type of loan that makes the most sense for the amount that you're asking for. What we need from a minimum credit score point of view is a 680 and above. And annual revenue that is required, 500,000. And this is where you must show at least 10% profit. Yes, there are 2 years in business. That is a requirement, no exceptions. Cost of capital or interest, it's low, 5% to 9%, as I just said earlier. And then the time to approve, it is 3 to 5 days and 1 to 3 months to fund. In a lot of cases, I've seen this being pushed out 3+ months. So it's a question of if you get approved for, if you can qualify for it, it's one thing, but it's two, do you want to spend all that time going through the SBA 7A? Is something that you have to answer. Does it even make sense for the amount you're asking for? Can you fall between that range? If not, we'll explore a different one in a moment. And again, like I said, 1 to 3 months to fund. It might not be necessary. Do you want to put a 10% down payment? In a lot of cases, you may have to if you don't qualify for something else, or this may be the best route. Requires strong credit history, requires profit on taxes, no excessive business debt. Certain industries are eligible. You would have to, again, like I just said earlier, and I'll say it again, fill out an SBA loan application. This will be down below in the description. So make sure you check it out to get started if the SBA 7A is your route. But I would stick with me for a second because you may qualify for other things and those will make most sense to you. So 12 months of bank statements, 2 years of business taxes, 2 years of personal taxes, your year-to-date financials, which is the profit and loss, balance sheet, copy of your recent credit report. So this is one way to go through the SBA 7A. There is an SBA loan calculator of how much you can get approved for. Take that into the account. We also take into account if there's a down payment of 10%, what we take off of that. So I'm not going to run some numbers here very quickly, but as you can see how much you need, if it's $1 million and that amount, estimated interest is at 9%. Loan term, you get 7 years, you would get a $16,090 per month payment. And I can break this stuff down to you depending on your situation. So that questionnaire will be down below in the description for you to check out. But again, up to 5 million funding time, it can be 30 to 60 days, low interest rates from 5% to 9%, long repayment terms, 5 to 25 years. But you have to ask yourself, does it even make sense for what I'm trying to do? So that'll be down below in the description. Another one to check out is the revenue-based loan and merchant cash advance. Usually falls under the revenue-based loan. That's what it is. So revenue-based loan and merchant cash advance, not revenue-based loan, which is equal to that. So revenue-based loan is what we're looking at. And these are approval amounts here of 20,000 to 5 million. In the term lengths, this is where it's shorter. So instead of getting those 5 to 25 years with the SBA 7A, you are getting 3 to 18 months. Now, I don't want you to look down on that and say, well, I'm not giving enough time. That does not make sense. Why would I want to purchase an existing business for 600,000 and only be given, 18 months if I qualify for that? And I get that thinking because I speak to a lot of business owners. I know this is what's going through their mind. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, does the benefit exceed my repayment? It's not always about the time frame. I get that's a factor. It's not always about the interest rates. It's what it comes down to is the repayment. If the repayment is too high for the benefit's not up here, then you will never take it. And another thing you have to look at is you don't have to supply as much documentation as you would with the SBA 7A. I have people right now who are requesting the purchase of a business to be like 350,000 or 250,000, 150, more or less, even 50,000, 60,000. I have people above 500,000. So there are situations where yes, the SBA 7A will make sense, but there are times where it's like, no. And it's also a matter of, again, like I said, does the time make sense? Can you wait 1 to 3+ months? Usually, a lot of the times you want to go through all that documentation. Can you even supply that documentation? And there's a lot more that goes behind all of that. I'm speaking to a variety of people right now who are like, I want to acquire this business as soon as possible. So it turns out that this would probably be the best thing to do, to be honest with you. And don't, again, look at the months. You can possibly qualify for the most amount, but does the benefit exceed the repayment? You're going to take what you get. You're like, yeah, 12 months, 18 months, doesn't matter. What I'm getting in return is far greater. What I'm getting, I'm going to keep my business stable. I'm going to be able to profit. This business is already profitable. So be it. 18 months, I don't need 2+ years. I don't need that extra amount of interest. I want to save 20 to 30 to 50,000, 10,000 and above, 5,000. I've saved a lot of people from these 5 to 25 timeframes, save 100,000, 140,000. You may not see it right now, but that's the reality. And I can run some of these numbers on my back end. Just go through that questionnaire form. But all the links to get started with this will be down below in the description. So make sure to check that out. So loan amounts from 20,000 to 5 million. Excuse me, like I just said, loan terms 3 to 18 months. And that's not a downfall. A lot of people come through this and this is what they get. And this is probably what a lot of people can only qualify for. So you can't only look at it like, oh, I don't get an SBA 7A. Well, this is what you qualify for. Oh, you qualify for the 7A, the revenue-based loan, and some other solutions out there. But what makes the most sense to you? Okay, this one, all right, we run with this. It's not, and I get it. There's businesses out there that have cash flow problems. I'm speaking with an individual right now of many that they've been offered on a daily payment. Sometimes you get weekly with these, daily, sometimes weekly with these. SBAs, monthly, longer terms, lower interest. These can be a higher cost of capital. You're looking at higher rates between a 1.19 or 1.20 to 1.49, factor rates. So cost of capital interest can be medium to high. So that's what it's calculated on. The SBA 7A loan, sure, it has lower interests. So that may be something more appealing to you. But even with this, like I just mentioned, does the benefit exceed the repayment? And don't look at it as just the interest rate. Don't look at it as just the term. Sure, those are factors to a greater degree. But if you look at it from a point of view where you're getting that funding, you're saying, well, I can turn this around and it's going to be profitable anyways. If I got 11 months, you're kidding me? That's more than enough time for me to do this. But some people are different. Some people go, well, I could only qualify for this. And this only makes sense to me, but I wasn't given the best term, so I can't do that. Can they give me 8 months instead of 6 months? Or can they give me 12 months instead of 10 months? There's an underwriting process to all this. And this is stuff that I can share with you. That's why you need to stay plugged into this. And if you've been watching me for some time and you're just like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, it's because you don't know enough about it. And you're stuck in a spot where you're like, not even asking about what my alternative is, or you don't even explore that if I presented it to you because you're not tuning into this. And other people are not sharing it with you on YouTube or on a blog or anywhere else. If they are, they're probably sponsored by somebody who's requesting them to share their content, and they don't know enough in this industry. They don't stick around enough to understand the market changes like I do as a business owner broker / agent who's worked with all types of industries, not only purchasing an existing business from all types, expansion, growth, startup, grow, SBA idles, everything, you name it, from all industries. So I'm really here to help you. So time in business, 1 year. Annual revenue that's required, 360,000, which is $3K per month. I know you're thinking, well, I don't do that. Sounds great and all. So I'll run another situation by you. Minimum credit score, none. But usually 500, 550 and above because of what lenders look for, and they don't want to deal with people going to a default. Too many people end up in collections. But 20,000 to 5 million, and similarly to the SBA 7A loan, maxes out at 5 million. So that gives you a lot of room in between. I have right now a lot of people who will be accepted, have a lot of people who will be accepted for this. I had my pencil in my hand. And there's people who take the SBA 7A loan because they can wait that amount of time and they can qualify for it. And they need that for what they're acquiring. And with all the different renovations or things that are changing that they need to do, that they need to add an additional location on top of that. And they're like, well, that in no way is going to require me to do 18 months. I need at least 2 or 5 to 25 years. But in a lot of cases, you don't. 2+ years doesn't even make sense. Okay, so that is another way to go. Factor rate starting at 1.20, not just meaning if you get approved for, like, let's say 150,000, well, 100, and you get approved for a factor rate of a 1.30. 1.30 multiplied by 150,000 is what your repayment would be, and then I could calculate that for you with daily, weekly, bi-weekly, and even monthly, how that would all look like, and then some more numbers. And then I can even compare those numbers to what even be a longer term. So again, it's not about that. It's a lot more than just the interest and the time frame. So this is what it is with the revenue-based loans, how you can apply. Step 1, apply online, submit the documents, approval process. Very straightforward, very safe and secure. This again will be down below. And you can get approved of 50% to 150%. So I believe if you're doing like 600,000 and you want the most to get approved for, you can get approved for about 900,000. And you're thinking, well, that won't cover everything. I have something that I want to acquire that's going to be 1.5 million. Well, at that point, well, what we got to look at too is, do you have any commercial real estate property to give up? Any kind of hard real estate? If not, then it will be a bit difficult for you. So you have to keep that on the back of your mind, is the only way to get you to that 1.5 or 3 million or whatever you're asking for is we will need a commercial real estate property from you, one or more, that then you can use as that collateral to pay for that existing business so you can get that funding. So not everything is about not putting down collateral. There will be cases where you have to. There will be a lot of cases where you don't with these revenue-based loans and merchant cash advances. You don't have to supply collateral. If you can qualify for the maximum amount, you get the maximum amount. You're like, well, I was doing 500,000 and I only needed to acquire a business for 600,000 and I got approved for more than, I got approved for 150,000, which is more than 600K. If I meet just 600K, if I'm just underneath that, what do I have to do? I can put a little bit of my own money of this down, or if I have a little bit of an asset. So you got to think about what you can get approved for as well. Of your average monthly sales, which you can get approved for, daily or weekly repayments. All industries will qualify. Documents required, less strenuous of a process. Let me tell you this, a lot faster too, which is time to approve, 24 hours, same day funding. Business loan application down below in the description, get started. 4 to 6 months of business bank statements, 4 to 6 months of credit card processing / merchant statements if applicable. So compare that to the SBA loan. We're not asking you for 2 years of business tax returns, 2 years of personal taxes, year-to-date financials. In some cases it can be, because if you're requesting over 100, over 150,000, sometimes, yeah, we will ask for at least your recent years of tax returns, the year-to-date financials, balance and profit, profit and loss and balance sheets. Sometimes we will ask for that, because the higher amount you ask for, we have to look into things and we have to be able to verify and be able to make sure that we can get our money back as the lenders. So that's what you have to look forward to, but it's a lot faster, get approved. And again, if you're not wanting to take all that time and you're like, well, it makes sense to me, the benefit of is better than the repayment. Sure, the repayment may feel like a little higher, but so be it. I can do it. My cash flow is fine. I'm not suffering in that. We're hitting a hard season, or we're going in through a season that we're going to even increase our revenue. My credit score isn't where it needs to be, so I didn't get the best terms, or it is high enough. So, okay, so be it, I can do it. So that's another option with, aside from the SBA 7A loan, the revenue-based loan, and the merchant cash advance. So revenue-based loan is what we're looking at there, and that's what we can go through. Sorry, I got a text message. So another one on my list here, and I just kind of wrote some notes here, so I'm looking at them, is a business line of credit. So the business line of credit right now that's been added, we can get you up to 55,000. That's what we currently have it at. Now that can change over time, but a business line of credit is what you can look forward to. And this page will change. It's not as 100%, I believe, completely updated, but you can get up to 55,000 at the moment, but that can change over time. And you can withdraw those funds and use them however you would like to. So that's an additional benefit if you don't, maybe you qualify for the revenue-based loan, but that's not what you wanted. So you're like, well, I want to be able to use those funds whenever I need to. I can use it to purchase an existing business, and I can also use this for a variety of things. So then you take that 50,000 for that new or for that existing business and you apply it, and you're like, oh, well, I made these repayments as fast as possible. It's revolving, goes back into the account. So I get back that 55,000 I got approved for, and then I can use it for other purposes in the same time frame. So you got to look at it from that point of view. In a lot of cases, we can accept with a year's worth. 2+ years is usually desirable, especially from an industry perspective. A lot of the times, 2+ years is what we'd like to look at. And it is a little bit more harder to get approved for a line of credit because you have to have a higher FICO. We're looking at like 600s and above, a lot of cases, 550, 600 and above, 650s. So it also depends on the time in business and the industry. One business may qualify for a year. One other business may qualify for just 2+ years. So you may not qualify for that based off of just your time in business alone. You may have everything else you need, the credit score, the revenue required for you to get approved for that amount or to qualify, but just the time in business. So then what do we look at if this is not an option to acquire an existing business? Then we can also do a personal loan. And that's the one where you might not have thought of. You're like, oh, I can do that. But before I go into the personal loan, you're probably thinking, how about a business term loan solution? Those can work, but a lot of the cases, they don't approve for an existing business. So even though you're seeing over here, there's an unsecured business term loan through private lenders. Again, it's medium to high rates and cost of capital. you can get approved for 250,000 maximum with 2 to 10 years. A lot of cases, they don't approve for an existing business purchase. So even if it's a minimum credit score, 20K per month, you're saying that's less than the revenue-based loan. I can go that route with just 3 months in business. A lot of the times they will not approve you for that. So that's something to consider. And there's state regulations you may not get approved for. And again, that may not be the best thing to go down. But if it does change, I'll leave some information to that. And if I believe it's the best thing to do, then I'll leave that. But usually it's one of the last things that I recommend because the cost of capital can be a lot higher over time, over a total cost of financing. So you also have a personal loan. I bet you didn't think of that, but you can use a personal loan for business. This does have higher requirements similar to what you would see with an SBA loan. Over here, we require you to have one. Well, you can get terms of 1 to 5 years, excuse me, but you can get between 20,000 to 500,000 in approval amounts. Sure, it is less than the revenue-based loan SBA 7A loan, but if it's not more than that, you need just between that, great. And then we can get you terms, again, between 1 to 5 years. Your minimum credit score just has to be higher, 700 Experian. There are other personal loan programs, but they don't always use it for business, or you can't use it to purchase an existing business. They may have the credit score be less. It might have a 550 and above or so forth, but they won't let you get approved for an existing business the way we have it here or at all. In a lot of cases, it doesn't. So annual revenue that's required, we just ask for 50,000. So this is where it can be a lot less now on the revenue side of the equation. You're like, well, I don't have that much. Taxes or pay stubs here is accepted. So, but time in business, we have 0. Yeah, that's great and all, but it requires at least 5 trade lines. So this is what we're looking at, like on a credit worthiness perspective and even business credit. If it's established, if it is, then we can try to move forward with this. If it isn't, it'd be a lot harder and probably not a solution on the table. And if you do have it, you have at least 5 trade lines. Cost of capital or interest, 6% to 18%. Time to approve. So the low interest is what you can get on this personal loan. So if you're over here battling, let's say, for example, you're over here on the revenue-based loan and merchant cash out advance. You're like, well, the repayment is just too high. I'm getting too much of a daily payback. I can't do that. Cash flow isn't where it needs to be. Again, what I want to say is before we give you what you're approved for, your pre-approved offer, the lenders, we all like know that we're not going to give you that unless we've looked into the bank accounts and the information that's needed to say, yeah, you can handle those payments. So when you say you can't handle it, we've already seen it previously. So it's a matter of something else. Something that we maybe don't see. Maybe you're about to hit a hard season. Maybe cash flow, the amount of deposits you're putting in the account isn't high enough for the type that you're having to pay back on a daily, weekly, biweekly, monthly basis. When you look at all that, it's exceeding it, then okay. But in a lot of cases, we don't give you something unless we've checked into it. And if you really want that business, you have to think about what you have to forego. And if it makes sense, I would never tell you to take something if it's going to hurt your bottom line. But again, low cost of capital, 6 to 18 months. Time to approve, very fast, similar to the revenue-based loan over here. 24 hours, 1 to 2 weeks though, is a little bit longer of a process. So less than the SBA 7A loan to get funded, but more than the revenue-based loan and merchant cash advance on that side of the equation. So still something acceptable. You can go down that route. And I've seen people who they're like, I want the SBA 7A, or they don't get approved for that. And they're like, well, what's my other option? I get the revenue-based loan, merchant cash advance. Okay, no, too high a repayment. Or no, I didn't qualify for that one. Well, okay, what is a business line of credit? Let me look at that. Okay, you don't qualify. You don't have enough time in business or something like this with your FICO or wherever. Or it is FICO's good and everything. Okay, but you don't have the time in business, so you don't have the revenue, can't approve you for that. So then let's investigate here for a personal loan to see if you can qualify for that. And even in that case, people will qualify, and then people who don't qualify, and then now you know what you need to do to qualify. So don't make excuses because, you know, we want you to get approved. I want you to get approved 100%, but you're getting everything here. And if you're complaining about like, well, I have this and I have that, well, this is what you're looking at, what you need to have. And this is like the standard across just everywhere, not just with GoKapital. But let me go through this. Less than 30% utilization, the ratio there. Okay, we got to look at that. Minimal recent inquiries, nothing huge out of the ordinary. Strong credit history, no recent negative items. All you need here is an online loan application. That'll be down below. If approved, driver's license, bank statements, tax returns, pay stubs, utility bill. All right. So very standard stuff that you can expect when you go through getting a personal loan on that front. And I'm going to go through one more here. Just stick with me and then I'll conclude the video. But all of this is down below. Collateral isn't usually required. And then just some requirements. Your repayment schedule is more flexible on a monthly on those 1 to 5 years, as I said earlier. So if you wanted longer time, and it makes sense, right? You got to look at it as it doesn't even make sense. Will they even approve me for that when I'm purchasing an existing business? And if it doesn't, then so be it. If you qualify for something else, okay, what is my next step? Does it make sense with this type of repayment? Does it not? It's not always the interest. It's about the what's being deducted on daily, weekly. And if you can't, that's what a lot of people have issues with because they have insufficient revenue. One day you're having 100, one day you have nothing. Or one day you have 100, 1,000, and then you're inconsistent. And so if you have a lot of inconsistency, you are going to be that person who complains. And I've seen it all over the web. Well, I didn't qualify for this, but I was given a daily/weekly hard money loan. Call it hard money loan. I don't call it that. I call it something more of a soft, because most people who say it's hard money to them, it's because they don't qualify or they just don't have the right revenue in place. And they look at it as a bad thing. They look at it as something that's going to hurt their business instead of helping it. Yeah, because you're using it as survival money. If you're using this as survival money, that's the reason why. You're using it just for emergency COVID relief. Sure, if it's not going to help grow or expand your business, if it's not even going to keep it stable, it's going to hurt your cash flow. Of course you won't take it. Then perhaps a line of credit. And if you're not here to purchase an existing business, there are other recommendations on top of GoKapital. Check out that below in the description. If you're looking for a hybrid merchant cash advance company, then I recommend you look at somebody like Sba Loan Capital Link. They're what I generally recommend if you're going the untraditional route of a merchant cash advance where we're not taking a future percentage of your credit card and even debit card receivables. Highly recommend you check them out. You probably heard me mention them before. I have a lot of content on them. So look for them down below. You can get up to 2 million, even up to 25,000 same day instant approval, line of credit programs, better fee structures, weekly automatic weekly repayments, and so forth, but they cannot be used for purchasing an existing business. I'll say that right now. At the time of me making this video, that may change over time, but that's what I'm talking about with personal loans. You've heard me say about 4 to 5 of these. Now, let me give you another one to go off of. So far, we talked about the SBA 7As, revenue-based loans and merchant cash advances, business lines of credits, personal loans. There will be separate videos on all this down below, but look for the applications to get started. And then another way you can go is the real estate financing route. So if you're using it to purchase against the property, right? This might turn you off because you're like, no, I don't need to purchase against the property. And you're like, well, I want to already see my options down below for the other ones. You can look for that, but I would wait so you know this in the future. You may be in this situation, or you may know somebody, or you currently are. So you can use a commercial property mortgage through commercial mortgage lenders for that actual real estate. So now let me go over here really quickly and open up something so I can show you some quick guidelines. And there's a lot more stuff that you don't get to see behind the scenes that I can discuss with you. So make sure you're looking for that questionnaire down below if you have not already, so you can see more information. Just want to make sure I have everything. But yeah, you can use this to finance against the property that has that existing business. I don't want to confuse you too much on that, but over here. So yeah, you can go through, if you're a real estate investor, you're familiar, I'm sure you're familiar with this. Maybe you haven't ventured into this industry. Maybe you're doing fix and flips, rental, or some other forms. But if you have, I mean, this will be something you're familiar with. But you can get approved from 150,000 to 50 million commercial real estate loans that are nationwide, and low rates as low as 6%, and terms from 1 to 30 years. And so we can see some things here: fast approvals, all credit scores are accepted, loans ranging from 150,000 to 5 million that I just mentioned. The loan to value up to 80% of the purchase price. In a lot of cases, it's up to 75%. There are some cases where it can be 80%, but it's adjusted usually for 75. Flexible terms, both fixed and adjustable, quick underwriting, and you get competitive rates. The type of commercial real estate loans that are offered. And this is also if you're looking for, as a real estate investor, if you want to learn more about getting funding for that, look for my real estate form down below so you can get that filled out. as well. But there's a little quick calculator there that I may go through in a moment, but if not, that's okay. Applying with GoKapital, simple, complete an online application too. One of the representatives will get in touch with you. I'll be here with you too along the way, and we will gather all documentation needed. Closing takes around 1 to 3 weeks. And just a really quick touch up on this for the commercial property mortgage. I have people who do this, who they want to purchase like even an existing hotel. If you're here to do that or for another purpose, I may come out with another video specifically on that I'll link to down below. If it's not there, it's okay, maybe in time, but this will apply to this. Commercial property mortgage would be the way to go, especially if you can't do it through the SBA 7A. Perhaps you're watching this right now and you're like, well, I don't get qualified for the SBA 7A. I don't have 2 years. I don't have 2 years of personal taxes. I don't have the time in business. I have the revenue and all this other stuff, or vice versa, but I just can't supply that. And I can't go through these other routes, or I don't want to go through those other routes. So if you're trying to secure the actual real estate property, then this is a way to go. Again, where you can get between 100,000 to 50 million, minimum property value has to be at 150,000. And that's just pretty much standard a lot what you see with commercial property mortgages or with these properties that we go through. So loan to value, the ranges is 70 to 75% with credit above 660. It's got to be income producing and it's a low risk property. So loan to value, I don't want to confuse you too much about what that is if you're just for the first time learning what this is the amount of the property is appraised for, the value of it, for the amount, and then that's also calculated on top of what you get approved for in funding. So we take the amount you get funded for, divided that by the property valued at, and that's what we take into account being the percentage of your loan to value. And I don't want to get too into depth on that, but let's say you get approved for that amount, you get approved at to be 73%, and we get you 300,000 on, or we get you like 400,000 on a $3 million property. And again, I'm just putting some numbers out there. I'm not doing all the numbers here, just doing it quickly. So if you get approved for that amount, then you're asking what would be my down payment? There's obviously a lot of down payment I may have to put in. So 20 to 40% is what you're looking at with commercial property mortgages, and that's very standard. A lot of people want these 100% total financing, and that may be out there, may not be. There are some loopholes, but you have to be very careful of who you're going through. Just because somebody can quote unquote hook you up doesn't mean it's the best thing. You have to be very careful of what you're going through. So 70 to 75% at that amount, 50 to 70%. And this can be more of a down payment you put on instead of a 10% with an SBA 7A. Perhaps collateral that would be required with the SBA 7A, depending on what that room is. You may have to supply more with this on a down payment as opposed to the amount of collateral with the SBA 7A or down payment and or. So take that into consideration. 50 to 70% if credit below 660, vacant property if it's high risk property. So you can see how your credit score has a big say in this, as opposed to just your revenue, right? You can have a certain revenue. What are the liquid assets that you have available? If you have some, it's more of something you should have than you shouldn't have, because then we can move forward with it. Then you can supply that necessary amount of funding for what you get versus the property value, the percentage of, or what you get divided by the property, your loan to value there, and then you would have to supply the rest, down payments, possible collateral situations, scenarios, but a lot of it is 20 to 40% of down payment. But you can see that term lengths, 5 to 30 years, so similarly in a way to the SBA 7A, but you get 5 to 30 years here. Interest rates, 6 to 9%, so it's in the low range there. Credit about 660, and that's income producing. You'll fall between 10% to 14% if it's credit below 660 and it's a vacant property. So prepayment penalty, yes, it depends on the loan term. Foreign nationals, eligible, time to close, 3 to 4 weeks. Documents that are required for pre-approval, here they are, commercial real estate loan application, and this will be down below, and I can guide you through all of this. 3 months of bank statements, purchase agreement if buying, mortgage statement if refinance, recent credit report, recent roll if applicable, rent roll, copy of appraisal if available. So that's what you're looking at on the commercial property mortgage side of this equation. And there are some quick FAQs, 20 to 40% documents, you got to see that, the requirements, so forth, you got to see all of that as well, the property valued, and just a few bits of other details, and competitive rates, 6% to 14%. So again, this is going towards the real estate property. And I've had a lot of people, not only with hotels, but a lot of that recently, and a lot of other industries who are trying to secure that property. But even if it's not a business that's in current operation, you got to look at these things too. And if you're not here watching for purchasing an existing business, there are other options that I just shared with you through David Allen Capital. And I want to say this, if you're a real estate investor looking for funding, that is not to flip a home, then somebody like David Allen Capital can really help you out. But if you are a real estate investor looking for funding to flip a home, perhaps it's not primarily for that, you have other uses for it, then this wouldn't work for you at this moment. Maybe it'll change in the future, but this is what it is. And excuse me, you can come through somebody like GoKapital. But this questionnaire, if I haven't showed you it already, will be down below in the description. Fill it out, simple funding details. It'll land in my email. I will analyze it, evaluate it, and give you a proper response back via email on what you can qualify for and so forth. So it's very straightforward, very helpful information. Click there, it brings you back up to this form. It'll look like this more or less, and so forth. And I will get a hold of you via email. I won't harass you, hassle you, or anything like that. Phone number is only required for most of the time. It's because I will send you a message after I've sent you an email just to follow up and say, hey, I've sent you this email with the subject line from this email. Please check that out. This is what I've left for you. There have been some cases where it's okay if you'd like me to give you a call, but not in all cases. I'd like to have some information, some kind of concrete and abstract information, just so I can go off of it. And if it makes sense to do a phone call, then we can go there. But look for this. It will be one of the fastest ways to get in touch with me. Just to recap on everything that I've talked about, and I have my notes here, you got to see the 5+ ways. Some of these ways you probably wouldn't have thought of, but now you do. I've come out with another video. You've probably seen another one on how to get a purchase an existing business with bad credit. That one's there, but this is going to be that and more on top of the one I released. So this one is going to be actually a lot more helpful. And just some recap notes as you got to see the SBA 7A loan, what it takes to qualify for it, the amount you can possibly get guaranteed for, the SBA Express standard, SBA 7A small business loan. And I didn't go into that so thoroughly, but you can see here there are types of SBA loans on the screen that I've put together here, or that I'm showing you: the export working capital loans, the SBA Export Express, the SBA 7A small loan, standard SA 7A. There are the export working capital for people who qualify for that don't lend for all purchasing an existing business, especially if you're working with online banking solutions. So there are a lot of varieties, the amount you can get funded for, the amount you can get guaranteed up to, approved for. Collateral may be required, down payment 10% to 15%, 10 to 20%, usually 10% with SBA 7A loans. I got to show you the revenue-based loan and merchant cash advance, usually revenue-based loans, the 3 to 18 months as opposed to 5 to 25 years. But you have to think about, what does it make sense most to you? What can you actually qualify for? On top of, does the benefit exceed the repayment? If so, you're like, okay, well, I do a 350,000 my existing business or my business is. I'm only asking for like 600,000, 500,000, and I want it as soon as possible. I don't want to wait 1 to 3 months. Am I getting 3 to 18 months? Yeah, okay, but I can pay it back. It might be higher cost of capital. So it's not a question of these services suck. Well, you're telling me you're trying to persuade me to do something. No, it's a matter of what you are going through and a matter of your business's structure. So if you don't fully comprehend your business, you will continue flipping back and forth. Well, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't work, because you don't have the accounting and the budgeting of your business. You don't understand that. You have to go back into your business and understand all of that. That's what I do for my own, and I've helped other businesses do that in the past when I was working for them. So that the SBA 7A, revenue-based loan, merchant cash advance, you have to look at, is there a business line of credit? How much? 55,000 at the moment. Can change over time, but do you qualify for that? A personal loan for the use of business is possible. Not all the time. You have to be careful who you go through, but we can help you at this time, at this moment at least. There are some other restrictions, there are some other requirements we have to look at. You have the commercial mortgage property against the real estate, and there may be another few options out there, but these are the best ones that I would recommend you go through. And if this changes, you'll always be updated with perhaps a new video or stuff down below in the description. But yeah, that is everything that I want to conclude with. You got to see more or less the expectations of how to purchase an existing business, the different tiers to it, and what you would want to go down, what route, what makes the most sense to you. And at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, like I said, does the benefit exceed the repayment? If not, then you will always continue to dibble dabble here and there and being unsure about the numbers and Do I have enough of a down payment and 10%? Would I have to supply collateral? If so, how much of that will they be asking for? And the best thing to do, even though I can give you a ballpark, is to always submit an application. If they can give you a soft pull, which for the most part it is, unless later on in the process then we need to look for heavier documentation, then we'll be asking you for that, and then we will be saying, hey, this may require a hard credit pull, as a lot of you guys, especially in the real estate side of the equation, have seen that. But that is everything from me in this video. Look for that questionnaire down below. Look for these alternatives as well, like Untitled Capital. If you're not looking to purchase an existing business, we can get up to $2 million incredibly fast funding, and even up to $25,000 same day instant approval, with a lot more. There'll be content for it. And I think I have covered everything. I'm just flipping here between tabs just to make sure I have. And yeah, so that is everything from me. Questions, comments, or concerns, please voice them for me down below. In the description, there's ways to get a hold of me. And if you have not subscribed already, please go ahead and do so. And click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future videos I will be coming out with. And that will be everything. Yeah. All right. Talk soon.